Good afternoon. It's 1:30, so it'll be up by 3 by the time I get home. And welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I feel like we need a different theme for documentary episodes. I feel like we need something a little bit more academic than, that sounds egotistical, though. We're not doing anything that special. But I just went out to Hamptons today. This is the first of our multiple, because we're definitely going to do at least one next week, and I think tomorrow we're going to have something special as well. I'm fairly certain tomorrow we're going to have something special as well. But right now we have Hamptons International Film Festival Day 1. And what I saw today was Homegrown, this documentary about the January 6th. It's not about the January 6th insurrection. It's probably the easiest way to sum it up. It's about that, but it's more about what led to it. And I think what's interesting about this documentary is that it is entirely, Veritas. There's no narrator. There's no, there's no Q&A sections. There's no talking heads. There's no B-roll. There's some B-roll, but there's no graphics to explain things. It's just let the subjects talk for themselves, and I think that's really interesting for what this documentary is, because it kind of is about what leads people on this path, and ultimately what ends up with people who go down this path. And to that end, what the fuck is this guy doing? I'm convinced people out here don't know how traffic circles work. And there's a non-zero chance I'm going the wrong way, but we'll figure it out later. It's only 1 o'clock and I have time to figure out where the fuck I'm going. I'm headed northwest. I'm headed the right direction. And if I'm on the right road, that's a different question entirely, but I am oriented in the right way. The point is, I think what the documentary does well, like I said, it allows the subjects to speak for themselves, and it does allow them to kind of talk through a lot of their saying neuroses feels dismissive. I don't mean it they're neurotic or anything like that. I mean, the fucked up thought process that they have that allows them to do that. And as you watch it unfold over months, you get a sense of who they are and why they're doing this. And in a way, it humanizes them in a lot of ways that I wasn't expecting. Because that's the thing, is that it's in a way, because this, we look at this kind of not academically, but kind of through the lens of this happened as an event, as a historical event. It's easy to dismiss it as, oh, this happened years ago. Oh, this happened kind of and not, and not look at it as these are people who fell in with this weird, cult. And believe so wholeheartedly in it. And then it's that's kind of the thing that I think works very well about this documentary. This idea of what is it that causes people to fall in with this cult of personality? What is it that, and because you don't have a narrator, it never expressly tells you that. It's a great experience film where it does a great job of telling you exactly what you need to know without over-explaining exactly what you need to know. And I think this is kind of a great way to kind of put those two things together. Because, it's not until the very end where the guy who we ostensibly follow for most of it, Chris, this guy from New Jersey who ended up getting a 12-year prison sentence, it's not until we get to the end when he articulates, and you can tell what's going on, because he gets to the point at the end where he's talking to the camera, and he's saying, oh, this wasn't what we were going to, this wasn't what we were going to do. It's a shame people died. It was Antifa who kind of started the fight and got everyone going, and that's what got this to happen the way it did. And I'm just thinking about the future for my son, and what it is, it's him rationalizing what he did. He's in full defense mechanism, but like, okay, so here's what I did, and I am, I'm trying to rationalize it to the camera to use in my defense later. Like, that's why I did it. But there's so much of him just preparing. Like, they were going to the Capitol to prepare for a civil war, and that was what they were hoping for. And it's just as look at like what went into all of that. As you look at all these various groups all over the country, who are all these kind of small local groups that start to unify and coalesce in the lead up to the election. And how it is this idea that like we have like there's like they don't even show footage of the speech at the Ellipse. You don't even see that because no one's at the Ellipse when this happens. They're all headed to the Capitol. Like, and when you're at the Capitol, you're really only following Chris. You're not following anyone else. Like, anything at the Capitol is you're with Chris. And that includes January 5th. And, like, there are other things, like, you see the lead up to it, like we're going to go and prepare. Oh, wait, no, there was some B-roll. I'm sorry. There was some other things. And it was footage of Twitter. It was like pictures of tweets and stuff from various members of the right-wing insanosphere, if you will, all being like, come to the Capitol, we're doing something at the Capitol, come to the Capitol, it's going to be good, we need you to come to the Capitol and support President Trump, come to the Capitol, like, and that kind of thing is like, oh, so that's like adding, like, it's just designed to be like, what is the, what's the moment that, that kind of adds fuel to this fire? What was it that let this burn as much as it did? And that's kind of what that entire thing is. It's just, here's how it happened, and here's, we're gonna let it see for itself. And I think that a lot of that works very well. And I think that, like, when you get to, like, some of the more nuanced information that comes from this, which is the kind of thing that I was not really expecting. I wasn't expecting, like, it's not that I wasn't expecting a nuanced take. I wasn't expecting to see this guy from Salt Lake City who was, like, he's, like, the Salt Lake chapter of the Proud Boys, and we're introduced to him where he and the head of BLM for, what's it called? He and the head of BLM for Northern Utah are having this event together. And it's this moment of like, no, we have to, like, listen to each other. And like, it's this weird moment of like, the way they kind of portray it as like the two polar opposite extremes, which isn't exactly accurate, but like, the way it's kind of portrayed in that way is like, we have to come together, we need to figure out what we're gonna do, and we have a lot in common where it's like, we fundamentally want the same thing. We want equality in policing. It's just the ways we go about it. And that was kind of what that whole thing was about. But for him to be ostracized over that is kind of the point where it's like, oh, so that's what, kind of starts his, like, I don't want to say, like, deprogramming is probably the best word for it, where it's this idea that, like, because he's daring to think outside the box and daring to not be the winner-loser mentality, which is kind of what this entire thing is sort of based on, this idea that, like, well, it's not just about, getting things better. It's about also doing that. Well, I saw Pearls Before Swine. I don't know when the comic came out, but it's like, right, but do I win in this scenario? It's like, it's not about winning, it's just about making things better. And that's kind of the point where it's like, and when you hear him early on and he talks about what it was that kind of started him on this path, it's like he got back from Afghanistan in like 05, 06, and he talks about watching, what's it called? He talks about watching Fahrenheit 9/11, the Michael Moore movie, and how that kind of started him on this path. And you get to the end and you're like, oh shit, that, and it's, there's an explanation for how he got there. You're like, oh, well, It just he got that and and came to the wrong conclusion, and then that led him down this path. And then fundamentally, he still had more in common with one side than the other, but he was kind of using the other side to kind of, be like, this is what we got to, do to improve things. It's a very interesting take. I know it sounds like I'm just kind of yammering a little bit and kind of like not explaining things, but I think this is a great look at. It's a more nuanced take on what we already kind of knew. And if you're keeping up with the news and you're watching what happened in the last week with, like, what Trump's direct involvement was in this, knowing that we were going to get to a point where we were going to have, where we were, like, what the fuck? It's not a school zone on a Saturday. Fuck off with that. No, it's not. It's a school zone. Be aware, school zone when flashing. And it's like, no, it's not a school zone on a Saturday. It's because school's closed. But regardless, I wasn't speeding anyway. That's not a tacit admission of my speeding. It's just, I saw the flashing light and I got annoyed. I'm like, what the fuck? And this one's off, so it's like, one of them is correct. But the point I'm trying to make with all this is, I think that the idea of, a more nuanced take is kind of needed, because I think that it's not just about taking down or beating this movement. And look, if you've listened to this podcast and you're still listening to this podcast, I feel like you probably have to, either that or you're hate listening, which either way, I don't give a shit because I get to listen anyway and it helps my stats. So by all means, hate listen all you want. I'm still going to, I'm just gonna laugh all the way to the bank on that. But either way, the point is, I am up by the fucking fork now. Okay, I think I know where I am. Okay, I am on the right road. But the point is, it's like, you probably know how I fall on this issue. Like, I will be voting blue down the ballot come November. That is what I intend to do. Like, so this idea that, like, we're going to, what's we're looking for here? Like, this idea that, like, we have to, beat back this extremist conservatism that's kind of there is something that I agree with. I do agree with that general idea. But I don't think it's quite enough to just do that. I think we also have to... Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I think we also have to figure out what it is that made people fall down this path, and then start being like, so what can we do to fix this in the future? What caused people to start thinking like this, and then be like, well, how can we, deal with that going forward? And I think that is kind of an important thing to deal with. It's. I think the documentary does a good job of kind of raising that question and kind of trying to lead us in that direction without kind of, I don't want to say spoon feeding us, but because that's the thing, is that the documentary does not tell you how to think. That's kind of the important thing, is that you will not leave this being like, and this is exactly what the message you want from this is, because at the end of the day, because it's so kind of, here is what the, here's what the whole idea is, like, everything that has to happen, like, here's everything that happened. It feels very, not sterile, but very, like, newsy to an extent. Let me see where the fuck I am. Okay, so I'm gonna go left here. Okay, I figured out where I am. What in the fuck are we doing? There we go. You got this, buddy. I figured out where I am. I turned my GPS on, so I got this. But regardless, and this happened last year too, where I don't know if anyone else remembers that, but like I did this last year and I got lost on the way home from Fantasy Dance because I tried to do it when I have my GPS on. But the issue is, it's like, I think that this document does a very good job of just kind of laying out what happened and kind of letting what happened, like, speak for itself, like I said. seeing a lot of Harris Walls out here. I mean, granted, also, it's like, and the other thing, too, is that it's like, can I just talk about the Hamptons for a minute? Like, every time I come out here, I have the same thought. It's like, why the fuck is gas so expensive out here? Like, I paid $2.60 when I got gas last time. Here, it is up to, like, I saw one, it was over $4 a gallon, and I'm like, we are just ridiculously more expensive than is absolutely necessary. Like, that's absurd. Also, why is the lane for driving also the bike lane? Like, why not just ban off-street parking and put a bike lane? Like, it's absurd. But regardless, when Homegrown hits home media, I would say this is a must-watch. I think that regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, I think this is a must-watch. I think it is kind of, in a way, I think I've said it's a deprogramming thing where it's like you can use it and be like, oh shit, so like that's kind of what it is. But also it'll help you understand why people got down the way they went. Help people figure out why certain people went down the way they did in terms of like down this rabbit hole and all of that. It doesn't do that to the degree that I would like, but considering the documentary kind of starts in October of 2020 and then ends in January of 2021, there's not a ton of time to actually do that. So I think for what it is, it does a good enough job of trying to, promote that and get its point across. But check it out if it comes to a theater near you or if it plays at a film festival near you. I would assume it's still on the festival circuit. I think it was at some other festival recently. But it is definitely worth watching, especially in the lead up to this election in November. So we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, which will be tomorrow, or I think we have something cool happening tomorrow. We have to work out the details, but that'll be tomorrow. And then this week we have Monday, we have The Penguin episode 3. Tuesday, we're going to do Salem's Lot. Wednesday, we're going to do Nothing Wednesday. Thursday in the morning, we're going to have Agatha All Along episode. I believe it's 5. And then what's the other big one? There's another thing on Thursday. Oh, it's either going to be The Apprentice or Saturday night. And then Friday, whichever we didn't do Thursday, we're going to do Friday. Then comes Saturday and Sunday of next week. I said I was going to do Conclave and Blitz. I can't guarantee I'm going to get into either of those because it's getting to the point now where so many people are going to the Hamptons for this that I kind of am starting to think I should just become a patron so that way I can get the priority ticket buying. Because by the time tickets went on sale, they'd already sold out of those. But we'll see what we have. I think we're going to do something on both those days anyway. I'm not 100% what, but I think we're going to do something on both those days anyway. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.